So I want to share with you a new concept that has been formulating in my mind over the past few days around addiction. If any of you have ever been or overcome an addiction to anything, let me know in the comments, because it's a very deep learning experience to be able to let go of that part of our ego that we call addiction, and that has control over us in ways that we often don't feel like we can overcome. I personally have overcome quitting smoking, or releasing my addiction to cigarettes and nicotine. And in that process, which was a long process because it was a challenge in so many ways, I learned so much about what I would need to do the next time I quit smoking, and the next time, and the next time. And like each time that I attempted to quit, I gained tools in my toolbox to be able to overcome the next time, to help me the next time. And the way that I like to look at it is this idea that the addiction, there's this sort of addiction ego that is our identity, right? Like it really takes over our thoughts and our habits and our actions and controls our life to things. And when we let that part of our ego or that addiction control us, then we are reacting and reacting and reacting. We don't have the choice, it feels like, a lot of the time. Even though we are convinced that it is our choice, it's actually the addiction that is making that choice. And we, as this other entity over here, is small and unpowerful, whereas this large addiction has control over us. So when this part of us gets that spark of an idea that wants to change, we start to learn and build our toolbox so that we can grow and grow and grow, and this part of us can shrink and shrink and shrink, and we're taking the power back from our addiction. We're overcoming our ego and becoming more of our authentic self, right? So one of the fancy things that this ego does is that when it recognizes that this authentic self is starting to see the ego for what it is, it kind of has this little freak out, right? And it challenges us in harder and harder ways so that it can remain in power. And often it's those challenges that we have, those tantrums and those triggers that we feel, that this authentic self gleams these nuggets of information to add to the toolbox. And it's hard because these two parts of ourselves are really butting up against each other and causing this friction and this resistance. But when we think we've failed because of the challenge that the ego has presented us with, when it seems too enormous and too much to overcome, then that's when we learn that tool to add to our toolbox, because we know what is coming next time. We know that the challenge is going to look like this. The challenge is going to look a certain way and feel a certain way, and we're more prepared for it next time. This authentic self is more prepared the next time, and the next time, and the next time. And those are the tools. So when we think we're failing, there is no failure. It's only learning and growing this authentic self while we take the power back from this ego. So when I was quitting smoking, it was these small incremental steps and incremental tools that I learned each time that I quit that helped me succeed the next time, and succeed the next time, and succeed the next time, because I didn't do it all in one, clear, what did they say? Cold turkey kind of, situation. I had to overcome these struggles and these challenges that my addiction was throwing at me each time and learn how to do it better the next time, and the next time, and the next time. So it's this pattern that made me realize, because the other day I I was looking back through my videos and watching some videos, and the limiting beliefs that I have been challenging myself with and working through for a number of years, and I've been very open, I think, about it on, these discussions, was my relationship with money and how I'm trying to shift my fundamental understanding and my beliefs around money. And it occurred to me the other day that this relationship that I have with money is an addiction. It's the addiction that money is hard to have. It's hard to earn. It's hard to get. It's hard to hold on to. It's hard to keep. There's never enough, right? This whole concept that money is evil and difficult and it's a struggle. That is the addiction. And now I can see that in these patterns that are emerging in my life, and how each time this ego tries to throw a tantrum and cause this challenge, like for instance, 4 months ago on my YouTube videos, I was saying the same thing I was saying last week, but I didn't remember last week what I said 4 months ago. And it was this learning experience where all of a sudden my ego created this situation where I felt like I had to react in order to earn money. And so my first sort of conditioned response to that is always to check the want ads, right? To go online and see where my skills can fill a need in them as an employee and earn a paycheck. But it doesn't feel like that's in alignment with me anymore. And I realized that 4 months ago, because the universe was not allowing me to line up with the job that I was waiting outside, in order to have this interview. It just wasn't working. And then again, a week ago, when I found myself in that state, and it's a state of panic, and it's one where I am in fight or flight. I'm reacting. I'm not leading with my energy. I'm reacting because that's what I feel like I need to do in the time, because that's what I've been told that I need to do, for 30 years of my life. That's how this relationship with money works, is what I was believing. And none of it was feeling like it was in alignment with me, which is one of the tools that I've learned over the past few years, is to tune into that and to make decisions from a place of alignment. And, one of the best ways to do that is to check and see which nervous system you are responding from. Are you reacting in your sympathetic nervous system, or are you creating in your parasympathetic nervous system? So, the quick check-in, which nostril is easier to breathe through. When your left nostril is clear, then you're in your parasympathetic nervous system, right? And it's such a beautiful way to just check in really quickly, just to see where you're at if you can't immediately tell, just by tuning into your body. So with that information, I can now move forward and strengthen the new beliefs that I want to take. So if I'm imagining this addiction to money being a struggle over here, and how powerful it is in this authentic part of myself with this spark of understanding that knows that money does not need to be a struggle. Money can come to me with ease. And the more I can adjust my beliefs to that and keep refocusing on that in the situation by situation or moment by moment sort of time frame, this ego, this addiction becomes less and less, and the power that this part of my authentic self has grows and grows. So I'm taking the power back from this addiction into my authentic self. And even as I say this and share this, I sense that there is a huge amount of resistance in our society, in the sort of like the communal energy, to believing that this is a possibility, because we haven't seen a lot of examples of this, right? And once you open yourself up to the idea that it's a possibility, then those examples are going to start showing up in your life. And that's what's been happening for me in the past week. And that's where I find it so beautiful is that in order to support these new beliefs that I'm having, I need to believe that I'm going to find examples of it in reality. And that's what's been showing up. And so not only is that supporting the idea that I can create money with ease, then I can see other people who are actively living it and doing it in their own experience. And so this just adds momentum to this side of my self, this authentic self, and is really taking the power back from this. So now the really beautiful thing that I'm wanting to share here essentially is that I now recognize that this was an addiction, and I am choosing to feel better more and more of the time. I no longer choose to participate in that addiction because it doesn't feel good. I don't like the struggle. I don't like the way that it makes me feel when I think about money in that way. I'd much rather move over into this embodied self that believes that it can be beautiful and easy and fun and uplifting and so it goes, right? Like, this is where I want to be. And that's exactly what happened when I quit smoking, is that this option of having a cigarette and nicotine no longer felt good anymore. And the power that it had quickly diminished because it felt so much better to be a non-smoker, clear, having that control and being able to decide when and where I was going to do things. And it just opened up a world of opportunity, infinite potential without cigarettes in my life. And so if that gives you a good picture of what the power of our beliefs can do for us, is making a choice fundamentally about, do we want to feel bad or do we want to feel good? And so I'm choosing over and over and over again in my life to feel good in all the possible ways that I can. Thanks for tuning in. And I always appreciate these opportunities to share what's coming through for me. And if you're listening to this, then I just want you to know that this message was meant for you because you are ready to hear it in this moment. Bye.